I'm Gene Van Patten. In this demo, I'll show you how Minitab's Prolink gives manufacturers real-time visibility into their processes right from the plant floor. So let's dive in. Prolink is a company that has been in business for 42 years and producing very powerful devices to make it simple and easy to capture data from the shop floor. It's all about Prolink powering this idea of precision manufacturing with software to give you seamless data collection and, of course, better decision making. So let's take a look at where this fits, because it does fit in some specific places. The most common place where we use our software is in discrete manufacturing processes, meaning things that are like CNC machining, turning, milling, also stamping, things like automotive parts for sheet metal body parts, or even for your washer, your dryer. Injection molding, very, very common use of our software where people are doing high volumes of injection molding plastic parts or extruding plastic parts. Very, very common to do measurements and close quality control there. And then, of course, there's even something unique like blow molding that we handle extremely well and keep track of the data there. Frankly, there are many, many more types of manufacturing out there, and they go on and on that can be using our products. What are some of the common issues that come up? Well, manual data collection, that is paper and pencil data collection, is really a big problem because it's fraught with human error, and it can lead to things like lost records or incomplete records, or many, many other problems there. There's also a big problem in no common way to collect and analyze data. Within a manufacturing plant, there may be, quite honestly, 10 or even 20 different ways that data is collected, and to put them in a common format is not always the easiest thing to do. That's caused by different equipment. There's many different manufacturers of test and measurement equipment. They all have different outputs and different formats. It makes it difficult to get it in a standard format. And then, of course, we have things like homegrown systems. The homegrown systems would be things that would be created with a product like Excel or some other common available program that they would create to meet their immediate needs. But of course, it doesn't grow with the company. And all too frequently, the person who created it, when they move on to a new job, things tend to fall apart. And then there is also this issue of the lack of real-time information to drive decisions. And that is, frankly, one of the things that Prolink brings to the party like no one else, in that the data we collect can be displayed and distributed, the information about it, in actual real time, seconds, not hours or days. The other thing that we also need to talk about here is, how do we solve those problems? Well, a reliable system to capture the data in real time from many different measuring systems that typically have no common output data file structure, and the new systems and the old systems. And this is an important thing too, because measuring systems, like many machines, last for multiple years. And of course, software changes over that time. And so the new system and the old system, even within the manufacturer, may be very different in its output. And of course, it's very important for people to eliminate paper printouts, where they all too frequently will print out a result from a measuring machine, and then somebody sits down and re-enters the data into a different computer. That can be eliminated. Of course, electronic hand tools also have output, and having the ability to capture data from them can make all the difference in the world for accuracy, speed, and reliability. Those devices typically have no common output, and they may be wired or even wireless. They can be manually handheld tools if utilized. These would be tools that have no electronic capability. And so there needs to be a common method to be able to manually enter that data in the same format that the electronic data is coming in, so that it will all be usable together. Okay, so how do we solve the problems? Well, Prolink provides a solution by collecting data from all brands of measuring machines. We actually support, out of the box, over 320 different brands of CMMs, vision systems, and other types of equipment. We also support any of the electronic hand tools, such as calipers, micrometers, digital indicators, height gauges, etc. All of those things that have digital display, virtually everyone will have a way to output either with a wire or with wireless. We support them all. And then there's another area that many people don't talk about, but PLCs, programmable logic controllers, that provide a lot of the automation in our automated manufacturing equipment, sometimes have valuable data for monitoring how it can affect the quality. And we can capture data from those as well. So what we want to do today is we want to take a quick look at QC-CALC real-time and Gage station, the data collection tools that we use, as well as our QC-CALC SPC Pro. The Office Buddy product actually is being renamed Office Pro, and I forgot to fix it here, but that's happening. And then QC Mobile, which is our browser-based tool. Okay, so one more slide to take a look at how these products actually fit together. The QC-CALC and QC-Gage and PLC, they're all part of the data collection, QC-CALC data collection part of the product line from Minitab. And that would give you the ability to do the CMMs, the hand tools, and PLCs. And the data all flows through QC-CALC real-time into the standard centralized SQL database. And then on the reporting side over here, there are the SPC reporting and Pro products and the QC mobile product, which I mentioned as a browser. I didn't mention it before, but there's also a tool built in here that will let you alert stations out on the shop floor that it's time to take a measurement if they forget when they're supposed to. And then, of course, the SPC Office Pro, which has been a product in Prolink's product line for many years that gives direct and automatic connection to the Minitab MSS product to totally simplify and very much reduce the time used to do any analysis with MSS. And there is a new product that will actually be a combination of MSS and Office Pro together called Office Pro Analytics. Okay, with all that said, let's jump over and we will pop out of here and we'll open up our product called QC-CALC Real-Time. And I'm going to use a little demonstration tool here to explain how this works with a coordinate measuring machine real quickly. It is important to understand that when you first install the software, it is this simple to tell it what kind of a CMM. All of these 320 brands are all here. And if I were using any brand, I could type it in and search for it here. It would then set it up and automatically the software would be getting to start collecting the data. And that's an important point about this software is that the operator has nothing that they have to do to collect the data. Simply run the measuring machine. They're monitoring a file continuously, and when it appears in a folder on that PC running that measuring machine, we automatically gather that file. So here, for example, is what it might look like if I were to start measuring a brand new part from a CMM on my machine and wanted to capture that data. I'm going to make this simulation, which actually just sends some data as if the CMM did it. And you'll notice that it immediately discovered there was no file called bracket 620, and it started putting those dimensions in place. And every time that I measure another part on the CMM, it automatically charts those points, and those points are plotted. And you'll see sometimes things like this will happen. That point went out of specification, the background turned red, and it showed us as a warning that way. I can zoom in on any one of those points and see specifically that the specification, the upper specification was 0.6, and it somehow exceeded that. It also shows in this chart not only the upper and lower control limit or spec limit, but it shows the upper and lower control limits. Those can be calculated or they can be entered manually, and they can be taught to be calculated automatically and then stop calculating after a particular period of time to fit the particular statistical rules that you are using at that time. I'm going to put in just a few more data points here. That yellow one that just flashed by meant out of control. And we'll note as we go further, that's an out of control one right there. We'll put some more data in, and in a couple minutes here, we'll see one other thing that is very important that gets detected, and that is a trend. In this case, we found 4 consecutive points going downhill. You can set it to look for any number of consecutive points going downhill or uphill. Extremely important, useful tool so that you can detect when a part is getting slightly smaller, slightly larger, and make that detection before you make any parts that are out of specification. And this can help you to make adjustments to the machine as necessary. Okay, so now as you get a look at how this data comes in, let's look at a couple other things that you can display as it's coming in. You can actually display in real time a histogram and stat summaries box that would allow me to click on any characteristic, see the histogram associated with that feature and the related statistics here. You also have the ability to open a point properties window. Now this will allow me to hover over any point here and see the details of that point in this little table right here. Makes it very useful for finding information about what was the particular machine that it came from, or maybe the operator who was running it, or some other feature that might be necessary to know. You can also do this, and you can look at different features and say, I only want to look at the charts if there's something wrong. So I'll say, show me only things that have out of control. And there is nothing out of control at this point, only the trend. So we wouldn't see that. You can create a list of, say, just your criticals. And I'll deselect them all at this point. And then I'll just reselect maybe 4 or 5 of those. And you can see only those. Now, all the rest are still being collected. But anytime I want to, I can switch to these criticals or switch back to all of them. Very, very easy to work on. Okay. Also in here, you can do record filtering. And this is really one of the more powerful parts of the QC-CALC product line, is that I've been keeping track of the machine and the operator here. Well, maybe I only want to look at the data that came from machine number 1. So I will go in here and I'll just type machine number 1. And just like that, it's separated and it now shows me only the data from machine 1. That's a very simple record filter, but I can have multiple criteria and show things like, show me everything that happened last week on machine 16 when Joe was the operator. You can be very, very specific about those kinds of capabilities. Now, QC-CALC Real-Time also has some quick and easy reporting capabilities. I could report, let's say, a first article report here, just real quickly, and do a one-piece first article. And print that up and make it screen wide. And you can see that there's a very nice, simple first article report that would come out this way. There are a number of other reports, such as stat summary reports or raw data reports that you can print. You can export data out to things like Excel and many other formats. You can also do a Gage R&R built right into this software. Just flip the switch, tell it how many parts, trials, and operators, and it will then immediately prompt you for the parts to be measured, keeps the data separate from your production data, and then gives you your Gage R&R reports at the end. Very simplified, keeps it all together. There's also an administrative tools option here. Won't go into great detail, but this allows you to have different user groups. Different user groups can have different permissions as to what menu options and things that they can do within the program. Okay, so that's a pretty quick look at just what QC-CALC Real-Time can do in really streamlining the data collection that you might want to do from your CMM or your vision system. Now, the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to show the QC-Gage product, which works together with QC-CALC Real-Time as the hand tool device and what it can do to measure. Now, I happen to have an electronic hand tool here. It happens to be a wireless one, and I'm going to now connect it up as I start this when we start collecting data. The screen that you see here shows different tabs, and those tabs have different buttons. Those buttons can be utilized with or without pictures, but they basically allow the operator to select a part. There's also an option to pick from a list if that's better, or even a barcode scan to launch it. But whenever it happens, when you launch the part, the first thing it does is it goes out and looks for the gauge, electronic gauge it is trying to connect up to. And it just found that gauge, and it's going to continue doing that. And then it launched up the part. And it's giving me a message here, clean and cool the part. Totally user configurable, whatever you might want the operator to be prompted with, or even show the operator a document. It now comes up and prompts me for entering a lot number. I'll enter a lot number. And it came up and gave me a warning and said that didn't pass validation. So you can make this a very sophisticated thing as far as checking to make sure that people do accurate information. And I'll put in a valid trace, a lot number in this case. Asking for the operator. I can pick the operator from a list. I could have entered it in manually. I could also have barcoded that in as well. Now you notice it's asking to measure the outside diameter is what it's measuring, and it's showing me a picture of how to do that. I can zoom on that picture if I need to, and it says measure in the center of the jaw. So I am going to pick up that part. I will measure it, push the button, and in comes the reading. It's green because it's in specification. It could be yellow if it was in a warning zone, or it could be red if it was out of spec. It's now asking me to measure the ID of this part, and it says rotate it. Now, here's the kind of thing that you can do. Maybe this is a new operator and doesn't really know how to do this. I could actually set this up so that I have a print inspection method sheet or even a video that would start up automatically on a click and show them exactly how to do the measurements. I won't go through the whole thing, but it does show me how to do this function right here, which I'll do right now, which is to rotate and press the button. You'll notice that two numbers came up, and that's because I've asked it to measure the ID, and then I also asked it to calculate the wall thickness. So there's a little math function in there that does this dimension minus this divided by 2 and comes up with that reading. It's now showing me how to measure the overall length, and what happens if I make a mistake and press the button when I'm not supposed to. Well, it said that's not reasonable. It's outside reasonable limits. You don't want that, and I'll say no, I don't. Now, if I go back in and I make a measurement and measure that overall length, and we'll find out that this particular part is slightly over out of spec, it would turn red. And by the way, I can ask for an assignable cause or corrective action to be recorded during this data collection, or even during the CMM data collection that we saw before. So now I'm going to say, yes, this part was out of spec by 1,000. So I finished measuring this part. The data is immediately transferred to QC-CALC real time, which is why this chart turned red, and the data continues on and prompts me again. Now I've set this up for a one-piece subgroup, but very easily could support 3, 5, 10, whatever subgroup sizes that you might need. This is a very, very easy to use product and an easy to train people how to use this product. Setting up the spec plan, as we just looked at, that led us through that process, is as simple as a simple wizard that just simply steps us through the process. Won't go through all the things, but it lets you choose your gauges. It lets you then choose your characteristics and set them up. This is even where I very simply went in and said, here's the picture I want to show at that time. So very, very simple to set up. Once you've set it up, you just simply run it as it's needed. Okay. And this is a good look at the data collection side of the Prolink product line, both from an automated measuring machine and from a hand tool. By the way, I didn't show it, but I could have entered in data manually through the keyboard on this part as well. Just didn't happen to show it this time. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple other products that are here that we can show you. One of them is a product that is called Office Pro. In the old Prolink world, before Minitab, it was called Office Buddy, but it's Prolink SPC Office Pro now. And the idea behind this is to totally simplify getting data from any database that we've collected data on, such as that one that we just did a minute ago, right here. This is the part we were collecting data on. I can get this data. I need to get it into Minitab MSS, and I need to do it quickly and efficiently. Well, in the current world, if somebody has like an Excel sheet with that data in it, they could copy and paste it in. Or if suppose I wanted the capability 6-pack in Minitab from that set of data, I could simply say stats, capability 6-pack. I have my copy of Office Pro linked to my copy of Minitab. I've confirmed that I want the selected records. It would then launch Minitab automatically, bring the data in as you see here, and run the capability 6-packs done that quickly. So very, very powerful tool for really simplifying and shortening the time it takes to get data into Minitab to do various analysis. Okay, so that is this product. This product can also be used, by the way, to put in data into an Excel spreadsheet. I'll just use this as a little example, and I've got an Excel spreadsheet that will show you the idea. I just want to put this data into a 5-piece first article report is what I'm going to do. And so I'll, excuse me, I will pick this one right here. And I'll say the filtered my selection in the all records. Yep. And so what this is going to do is going to open up Excel for me and automatically fill out the Excel spreadsheet just like that with that data. The spreadsheet's never seen this data before. We just collected it for the first time, and it fills it in perfectly. So that's a really good quick look at our SPC Office Pro product. Now, as we step up to the further analysis of data, our SPC product will allow you to look at data, such as the data that we just collected. This is the bracket 620, again, that we did. Again, we can apply filters, as we did in real time for looking at a given machine or some other traceability field. However, this product leverages the SQL Server database capability so that I can do real relational database lookups. I can do things as simple as just show me everything that happened today. And it went and found every part that I measured today. I could also say, gee, I need to know every part that I have a 1/2-inch nominal hole in. And just like that, it went through the database and found every one. So you can use this to group and filter the data simultaneously in many, many different ways. And it's a powerful tool for that. Now, you can also just do a simple if you will, reporting here, and that can be done by just applying, maybe I want to apply a filter here and say, show me the last 20 records, and I need to run a report. And I'll do a simple histogram. It'll display it to the screen, or I could optionally run it to a printer, as you see here, and every one of those are there. You also have the ability here to do a little more in-depth analysis. Maybe I wanted to look at that same part again, but I wanted to look at the data across a variety of different ways of analyzing it. So how about if we did what we call a floating bar chart? What this is going to do is this is going to show us, choose at least one characteristic. Thank you. I thought I did. There we go. And we'll do this chart. And it's now showing me all of the characteristics in this part, but it's showing them plotted against normalized specs so that we see how dispersed or how central tendency is. Well, it shows both the dispersion and the central tendency of every characteristic. Now, this gives me a real idea that thickness has got a problem here. And if I go in here, I can click on it, and here's all the readings that were on that. I can click on any one of those, and I can see the details about when it happened, who was the operator, and all the other details that you might need to find. Now, in addition, this product has what's called a deliverable section. This is where you can create reports, dashboards, and full views and snapshots, which I'll show you in a minute, and also triggered actions. Triggered actions would be looking for a particular characteristic or group of parts that are going out of specification or out of control, and then trigger off sending an email to someone or a message to someone in one way or another. It can also be used to do exporting, and the exporting could allow you to automatically export to some other program, to Excel, or other functions that might be within the company. These are all done through a scheduling process that is used right here in QC-CALC SPC. It allows you to create things that you can display in a browser environment. Now, here is QC Mobile, which is displaying those products. This is our browser-based product that will allow you to display things that are generated in that deliverables section. And here you see a dashboard. It was showing me some end-on lights. Now it's showing me some run charts. Now it's showing me some bar charts. I have it in a carousel mode cycling right now, and it will go through these again and again. This is showing me machine 401. There's machine 301. If I need some details about what's going on here, I can click. It will drill me straight into the stat summary screen, which would then allow me to look at the status of any one of the characteristics, see the most recent 10 parts. I can look at, again, a box and whisker chart for floating central tendencies. And then I can look at how many characteristics are goods, how many are warning, and how many have a failure. I could click on that and say I want to drill into the details behind that. And now I'll be seeing a histogram. I'll see the specifications. I'll see the exact same run chart that's running out there on that QC-CALC real time, either at a CMM or at a gauge station. And any one of these points that I see here are just like viewing the points when we viewed them out on the data collection side, showing when it's happened. It was Nick, the operator, the fixture number, and the machine. All of those things are available here for point and click. Now, in addition, there's a thing called full view here. Full view allows me to create very, very easy to view images of large amounts of data. So here I'm simulating a factory floor, has 7 departments. Each one has an andon light. 5 of the departments are green. 1 is yellow and flashing. Yellow means a warning and it hasn't been acknowledged. Red means a failure that has not been acknowledged. If I click on that, that would allow me to drill into this department, which has 4 machines. And I could then click on this, which is showing me, oh, this is a 2 spindle machine, and only this one characteristic has a problem, and it's only when it's being made by spindle 1. I could then click on that and see the last 3 readings that were made, see the details behind them. If I want to, I could jump to a stat summary screen like we just saw, or I could actually go to a snapshot, which would be a CAD view of that part, and a CAD drawing, and it's showing me the characteristic in question and the ability to click on it and look at what's going on. Very, very powerful things as far as visualization. There is also a live data screen, which would allow me to select any part. I could select maybe one of those bracket parts, like the bracket 620, and I just want to see what the charts look like in real time right now. And here's the first 6 characteristics, the next 6, and the next 3. Very easy to see them. They can be viewed on any browser that's connected to the network and make this information available to anyone who needs to see it. And of course, you can drill in and see, again, the details on each point as well. Now, this product can also be set up to do a number of other different real-time charting displays. It can do things like this. I will say we'll do this one, and we'll do it by characteristic. And here we're going to see a summary of all 4 machines, each one doing 6 characteristics all in the same part. And it gives you a quick highlight of the status. And then, of course, if it's colored differently, you can go in there and look at what's happened here and see the failure. You also here have the ability to do something like this, where I can actually show the operator an image in real time as a CAD file image. So it would be our snapshot view, and you'd be able to actually see the part with each one of the characteristics highlighted. They're all green because they're all good. They could be yellow or red, and then the actual measurements over here. And then finally, QC Mobile provides us with a user-definable home screen. And here I have a home screen that's showing me CPK values updated every half hour from a number of different characteristics. Here I'm seeing just the status, good parts, bad parts, total parts from 4 different machines. Up here I'm seeing the part frequency. This is actually looking at the last 14 days of production and whether the correct number of parts were measured on each one of those days. The greens indicate yes, so if I click it says, oh yes, every hour they were measured as they were supposed to be. In the case of this one here, there was only 3 measured, so we can see that we can monitor very easily. Again, this is a browser-based tool. It could be on any manager or supervisor's desktop very, very easily. We also can look at different reports that are done throughout the system. Wherever they're done, whether they're done on the shop floor or an engineer's desk, this one browser can make them available. So I could then view this particular histogram report or any other report that might need to be seen. It also can give a list of critical characteristics, and it can send messages out to various people and assign a task for certain things. So very, very powerful viewing tool that goes along with our product line and allows you to make use of the data that's being collected from a variety of different sources. So I guess I'd like to thank you very much for your time and for tuning in. And I hope that gave you a fairly clear picture of what Prolink looks like and what we can do. There's a lot more there. And of course, we can show you more at your request.